Hello and welcome to our show. As usual, we have got a great show lined up for you. We're going to be talking about decision making very shortly. But before we do that, this week, in fact, tomorrow, it is Bec's birthday. And
my birthday.
We're not going to let a little thing like lockdown or COVID or any of this crazy nonsense stop us celebrating and partying and having a great time. Obviously, all within the rules.
Absolutely.
But yes, we're going to have a great birthday. We've ordered some cake off a
Yeah,
lovely local lady who makes cakes. And so we're set to party tomorrow. And I don't know if you've been around us any length of time, you might know about this, but we have something on our website, an amazing course that you can do called The Warrior's Journey. And the Warrior's Journey first went out in 2015, and Bec was actually one of the participants on the Warrior's Journey. And so this week on our newsletter, and obviously here, we are going to be giving the Warrior's Journey with 15% off the price to celebrate. So you can celebrate Bec's birthday with us.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell them a little bit about what the Warrior's Journey and
I like to think of myself as one of the original warriors.
Well, we have
OWs.
We have our WhatsApp group, don't we? And we're still warriors in our WhatsApp group.
Yeah. So like Deb said, it was a program that she did in 2015 that at the time I was only just, like Bambi, standing on very shaky legs in my life. And so I joined in with it. It's a 90-day program. It was then and it still is now. And so for 90 days, I got this beautiful email from Deb every day, sometimes a video, sometimes a quote, sometimes a blog, sometimes a challenge, just a combination of beautiful emails every single day for 90 days. And it's called The Warrior's Journey for two reasons. Because a warrior, it takes courage to live out in life and find who you are, and journey because it just doesn't stop. Life doesn't stop. We keep going and finding
still
out
warriors
new
journeying
things.
now, aren't we?
We're still on that journey even now. So if you're interested in finding out more about that program and grabbing it as my birthday celebration offer and having 15% off, then if you're not on our mailing list, drop us a message and we'll send you some details to do that. Or just sign up to the mailing list.
Why are you not on our mailing list if you're not on our mailing list?
And then you can join in with the 90 days. And that program also comes with a 45-minute one-to-one.
Which is worth more than the price of the program itself. So it's worth it just to have the one-to-one.
It absolutely is. And the program is amazing. We've had a couple of people recently who have really, really benefited from being on that program. And it's just one of our favourite, all-time favourites.
It absolutely is our total all-time favourite.
Yeah, changed my life. So
absolutely.
Highly recommended and a great way to celebrate my 37th birthday.
I thought it was your 21st.
Well, yeah. This young face
with amazing skin. Right. So today we wanted to talk about decision making. So now you've got a decision to make about whether to do the Warrior's Journey or not.
Oh, that one's easy, isn't it?
I feel like I was going to say, how do you make a decision? You listen to Deb and Bec, you talk about something, and you go and do it. That's how this works, isn't it?
Certainly a good way of making a decision for sure. But occasionally we have decisions to make, and we're not there. So. How do you make those decisions, Deb?
Yeah, life can really feel like it's a series of decisions, small decisions, big decisions. I can't, that word getting stuck in my mouth. And yes, some of them can look incredibly difficult to make, can't they? And some of them can look as if, I know for me, it's the idea when I'm faced with something and I have to make a decision about it, what goes on for me is I can't get this wrong. Like if it's something easy, I don't know, what do I have for lunch or something, it doesn't feel at the time, even then I can have that, what if I get this wrong, what if I have this and then I have food envy because Bec has something else and it's nicer than what I have. But what I can see is underlying the difficulty in making decisions is this idea that we can get it wrong. So that's kind of what I wanted to explore a little bit today, that idea that we can get something wrong. Because I know that has totally changed my decision making and what I do and what I don't do. Coming back to a place of realizing and remembering that what is behind this is this huge idea within me. My thinking, what's going on inside me is saying, you can get this wrong. And what you have to do is compare all of these things or sit with it or whatever, and so that you get it right. And the biggest thing since I have been on my spiritual journey, one of the huge things I've realized is that we can't get it wrong. And I think that is a huge statement to make around decisions. And when people, well, what, I've got to decide something about my child's future, or I've got to decide, I'm moving house and I've got to decide where I live, or some decisions that look like they are massive and look like they have huge implications. And if we get it wrong, something bad could happen to somebody. And so it can take a little bit of getting your head around this, looking at this from such a radically different way, really, looking at it to say, most decisions, it's like, yeah, you've got to make a good decision. You've got to make an informed decision. You've got to have all the facts and then make an informed decision. And there's no part of me saying, don't do that. Don't get the facts, don't look at it like that. But even having the facts and even knowing all of that stuff, if the underlying place that you're coming from is a knowing that you can't get this wrong, then that totally takes all the backache, shoulder ache, headaches, pressure out of the decision making.
Yeah, and it was definitely that for me that one of the reasons I ended up kind of on the warrior's journey, just trying to find my wobbly legs again, was because I'd spent so long believing I could get everything horrendously wrong. And I had a whole ton of stuff connected to that. If I made this decision, then that would impact that person, that job, that situation, that house, those people, that scenario. And all of that was on my shoulders. And what I didn't realize, exactly like Deb said, was that none of that impacts the truth of who we are, that at our very core, we are already love and happiness and strength and courage and all of those things that we are looking for. Interestingly, when we're trying to make the right decision, we think that that's going to bring us those things. It's like, if I have the right car, the right house, the right partner, the right job, then I'll be happy, loved, fulfilled, courageous, all of those things. But it goes the other way. We already have all of those things within us. And very much like making a decision, we can make a decision like that. And we actually do. What we don't realize is that is what happens through us. And then we fight that decision and we argue with it because what if,
question
what if? But like something, I don't know the exact numbers, but let's say 90% of the time, we make a decision pretty much instantly. And then we either go with it because we can be good at going with our instincts in that way, or we override it and we kind of argue with ourselves and fight the ideas and the decisions behind it and come up with a whole story of why we shouldn't go with that decision. But we're actually extremely good at knowing what it is we want and then overriding it. So very much for me, the reason I wanted to talk about this topic was to invite you to look within when there's a decision to be made, because you already are all the things that you need and want to be. And then what we get caught, we get it completely the wrong way. And we think, once I've made the decision, I'll be those things. If we knew that we were already those things, making that decision just becomes fun. Like I watched Deb, must be over a year ago now.
I was thinking about it when we were talking
buying a new car, and I watched her have loads of fun.
I did.
With kind of, what should I have? Should it be this car?
And I also watched her go.
I watched you kind of go up into your head sometimes, going, "Oh no, I've got to get this right, haven't I? It's got to be the one that has the right things, but that car has that, and this one has this, which is right." And then come back down and go, "Oh, this is fun. Which car shall I have? When will I have my new car?" And watched you kind of unfold with it almost from a space of knowing there was no wrong decision here,
I could feel myself. The times when I went to a place, you can feel it. And this to me is a part of knowing yourself. You get to feel, it's not that we don't necessarily go to those places, but I find it fascinating that, I was listening. I like the idea of the key that when I walk away from the car, it locks. So I would like that. This car has it, this one doesn't. And it was a fun game. And then I could feel myself when I've got to have a car that doesn't, it's got to be like this, and this is, and I've got to get this right, because I'm going to have this car for a good few years. And what if I get the wrong one? And the difference in the feeling when I fell into that place from when it was like, oh, this is really fun, I get the chance to have to find, to play with this and see what kind of car that I get. It was a totally different energy, a totally different feeling. And when Bec was talking, what was occurring to me was the paradox of this. Like, if you're listening to this and you've got an important decision and you're going, well, it's all very well for what you're saying, but this decision, I want to bring your attention to the paradoxical nature of life, because I think we have been brought up in the Western world, and certainly my experience has been this or that, this, one or the other, and it cannot be both. And I know there's something that Bec and I talk about a lot, and that is taking responsibility whilst knowing you're not responsible. And this was really coming to me around this decision making. It looked to me like, even with my car or with any decisions that I make, I like to step up to the mark and take responsibility for that decision. But that feeling that I was talking about, the minute I actually think that I am responsible, and if I make the wrong decision, all these terrible things are going to happen in the world, and that's going to be down to me, I've overstepped the mark. I've moved into that place where I actually think that I am responsible. So it is the paradox of, yes, there may be decisions that you have to make for your future, your children's future, decisions that impact your finances, decisions that impact other people in your life. You may have to make those decisions. But the paradox is knowing, step up as if you are responsible. But don't go to that place where you've got a headache, your shoulders hurt, you're ill, you're overthinking it, you're over worried about it, because all of those feelings are reminding you to come back to a place of knowing you're not the one making this decision, and you're not the one none of this is on you. You don't have to worry about this or overthink it. So it is the paradox of, you're responsible, do it well. No, you're not responsible at all, and you don't have to do this. And there is a beautiful place of balance. It sounds, our logical mind is like, what? Are you crazy? That can't work. And yet our heart, the true person that we are underneath, knows this. And one of the things that we talk about a lot as well is getting your own experience. You can hear this when we're talking about it, and definitely the warrior's journey that we're talking about earlier, what that was sending emails with information like this, and then giving you challenges and things to do in the world to experience those moments. Because when you experience those moments of taking responsibility but knowing you're not responsible, you thrive, and it's like, whoa, this is what you were talking about, and you can't even put words on it, but it's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah. And it was very much as you were talking there occurring to me, I was having a conversation with a lovely lady yesterday, and we were talking about finding our way to hand these things over to God or the universe. And that has been immensely powerful for me particularly in the last couple of months, that kind of spiritual nature that we talk about, that we're part of something bigger here. There's a way of taking, exactly like Deb's just been saying about the taking responsibility whilst knowing you're not responsible. For me, the knowing I'm not responsible part means that I can give that away, that decision. It isn't on my shoulders in the way it used to look like it was. It's not, I don't have to lose sleep or stop eating or worry myself sick about a decision. I can just hand that over to the universe and allow the answer and the decision to come to me in the right moment. And I do that regularly because I notice, I know it's something that we both do.
We often discuss it, don't we?
Yeah, and it's something I've been reading about in a book as well, I'm reading at the moment. So it's quite topical for me at the moment, that I find my way, and exactly like Deb's just said, the invitation here is always for you to have your experience of this, and there'll be a way that makes sense to you. But for me, I can visualize what it is that's maybe on my mind or on my shoulders, if you like, that I can hand over and go, okay, I see that I'm trying to take on too much here. What is mine to do? Hand it back when I know, when I need to know what to do next. And I find that really, it's both empowering and it lightens the load. It's like it's this, how can those two, it feels like being empowered, yeah, might give you more to do, but actually it comes with a much lighter feeling. And this is one of the things I started playing around with a few months ago. I started with really simple decisions. Like, I notice how many times I get asked a question and I either answer without actually genuinely knowing what I want to do, or I say, oh, I don't know. And one of the things I play around with now, I'm playing around with dropping the phrase I don't know from my vocabulary entirely, because I do know. And if I'm a little bit unsure, I know I can check that. I know I can go inside and find my answer. So one of the things I've been doing is, just with things like Deb said, like making lunch or having a cup of tea, when someone asks me, what do you want for lunch, or what, do you want a cup of tea? That's a decision that I make sometimes without even thinking. And one of the things I'm playing around with is being more aware of those decisions. Do I want a cup of tea? Because sometimes I don't and I say yes. And sometimes I do and I say no. And it's just getting familiar with that feeling and that experience within me when I'm looking to see whether I do or don't want a cup of tea, or what I'd like for lunch, or any of those things. Because when we play around in that arena, those kind of almost bigger decisions that we have to make, we have like a blueprint for what to do when they come along. We've got some experience in our bank as to how to look at that, how to hand it to the universe if we need to, or how to check within for what feels most comfortable.
Yeah, I love that. And it is very much about listening to these conversations and being open-minded enough to play around with it yourself, because your words, how you do it, what giving it to God, what handing it over to the universe, what that means to you, you have to play with it and find out that for yourself. And just being here and listening to this discussion and seeing this, to me, says that you're in a place of being ready to play with that. Because words on their own don't teach us anything. It would be like if we were talking about how to ride a bike, we could describe balance to you, we could describe the pedals. You sit on the saddle, you get one foot on each of the pedals, you move the pedals around, it gets some momentum on the bike, and then you get some balance and you keep going. And it can sound, you can know all about that, you can know the mechanics of how the chain moves the wheels on the bike. But actually getting on a bike and pedaling is a whole different experience to the theory of talking about it. And that is the same with what we're talking about. It's a whole different, paradoxes sound crazy, but when we live through a paradox, we begin to see, oh yeah, I was both all right and not all right then. How was that possible that I was those two things at once? And within this human experience that we live, human experience is about oneness experiencing duality, and oneness cannot experience duality. But paradoxically, we have a human experience, which is duality. So this experience that we are actually having cannot technically exist at all, because there is only one thing here. So everything that's going on here is a complete and utter paradox, which means that a lot of the words that we speak, dropping I don't know from a vocabulary is brilliant, apart from the times when it's not. And it's all about, you have to play with it yourself to experience it and go, oh yeah, it's helpful here, 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 and not here. So there isn't a one size fits all, because everything we ever point you towards is the paradox of duality in a non-dual world, which is a complete messes your head up.
It's a what, Deb?
One of those
blowing.
Mind blowing. But the paradox of it is, we can do this. We do it. We do it amazingly well. Human beings are freaking awesome.
We absolutely are. And it's, yeah, all of that, as you were talking, all that was going through my head was, it's mind-blowing. And yet somehow the amazing design here is that we do have a way of somehow grasping that and understanding it and experiencing
totally ordinary and totally mind-blowing. That's the paradox of it, isn't it? Absolutely blows your mind, and yet it is as ordinary as rain in an English summer.
We do every single day. Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
We do.
And it's absolutely about you kind of listening to what we're saying without listening to what we're saying. I think the metaphor you used to use was listening to music, you know, the same way you listen to music. It's rare that we listen to music to kind of really pick out the notes or memorize the word. We just listen to it and have it on in the background.
It's like having a bath in music, isn't it?
Yeah, it's there floating around. And that's very much what's happening here. Just allow this to float around you and become part of what you're hearing and not hearing all at the same time. And something will invite you at the time that's right to start experiencing this in your life, to look out for. Maybe you don't drink tea, maybe you're not fussed about what you have for lunch, maybe there's other decisions that you have to make. Do I turn left or right at the end of my road to get to work? Maybe you know any of those kinds of decisions in your life. Start to find your way to play around with them, because what we're here doing is playing an incredibly amazing, really safe game of life. And the more that you play, the more fun that you have. And that's really what we're about.
Yeah, absolutely. Pointing you towards, in spite of everything that appears to be going on right now, and always, well, let's face it, if you go back through history, there's always something going on. It's like if you wait for nothing to be going on to do something, you're just going to wait forever. It's just one of those, isn't it? So there's always a reason not to. There's always, but it can't happen. You know, this I can't live with. This can't happen. And when this stops, I'll do it. But this invitation is now. This moment right here with the world exactly the way it is. We can find peace and contentment and love within, no matter what, however crazy the world seems. And to me, everything that is going on and has been going on over the past 12 months or so has been a huge invitation to walk our talk, really, because Bec and I have been talking about this kind of thing for a long time. And then, various things over this last year have invited us to walk our talks, step up and see, we say this to people, is this true? Even here, can we do it when this thing has hit us between the eyes and this circumstance isn't a circumstance we want? Is it true when we say that peace and love and paradoxes and all of those things exist at once? Is it true? And it's given us some amazing things to play with.
Yeah, it certainly has. And it actually, all of that kind of really nicely brings us back round to the warrior's journey that we talked about at the beginning, because those 90 days are all about exactly what we've just said, getting out into the world and having your experience, being a warrior, being courageous, trying this out and seeing for yourself where this works, where the rubber hits the road in your life. Because I don't have in my life what's going on in your life, you don't have in your life what's going on in Deb's life, and so on. We get our own human experiences.
It's like dare to be you, isn't it? You've got to be you, not us. We should make a business called that.
Maybe one day. We'll make a decision on that later, shall we? But it is about, you get to have your experience of this, and everything about the warrior's journey, whether that's the 90-day program or just making your life about being courageous in that way, is about going, well, what's my personal experience here? I'm not Bec, I'm not Deb, I've not, had their lives and their circumstances, I've got mine. So where does this fit for me? How is it possible that if I've got a decision to make, anything that they've said, is that helpful to me? Can I see where it could be helpful? Can I look out into the world through the eyes of it being available to me, to trust the universe, to put it to the universe, to look within, and just playing around with that as much as you can in your way.
Absolutely, because once we begin to open our mind in that way, we see things, and even if you don't see exactly what we see, you will see something that is perfect for you, that will blow your mind and open it further, and your life will get easier in ways that you didn't know were possible. So highly recommend it.
Indeed. So go out and make some decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And let us know. We absolutely
Yeah.
love to hear from you. Feel free to subscribe to our channel, comment below this video, get in touch with us in any way you can. We absolutely love hearing from you. And absolutely, you know, go and do the Warriors Journey, because then we'll get to even speak to you, have a nice one-to-one. That'd be absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely.
So next week,
what have we got coming up?
Well, I
next week?
don't know what we've got coming up. Oh yeah. Our topic next week is we are going to be talking about when we don't know, because it just so happens this week a few conversations I've had with people who are facing things in their life, and a couple of conversations I've had, they said, if I just knew I could face this, but I can't face it without knowing what the outcome is going to be. And so we're going to be talking about that. You know, how do we deal with it when we don't know what's going on and our mind is going crazy, and we just think, look, if I could just have a definitive answer, even if it's bad news, if I knew I'd be okay, but you know, what do I do when I just don't know?
And we're going to be answering the question, how do I deal with anxiety and OCD?
Yeah, that's a fun one,
So
isn't
it's
it?
going to be a good show next week, and we hope to see you there.
Absolutely. So we would love to have you join us, and if you're not on our mailing list, please do sign up, because we're always up to something. And
absolutely. And if Deb does her job right, which I've no doubt she
will,
there'll be information below about the Warriors Journey, because we'd love to have you with us.
I'll go and do that right now. Okay, take care.
Thanks everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.